So fast forward now to the beginning of Zappos. I used to
Mhm.
buy my shoes on Zappos when I was growing up, which is
Nice.
when I was probably 7 through 12, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
it just occurred to me that Zappos probably was. You were probably born the same year that Zappos was founded, aren't you?
Two,
Like 20?
yeah, 2000.
Okay, so Zappos was 99. So we just, so you're slightly
Wow.
younger than Zappos.
That's
I mean,
that's
slightly older than Zappos. That's crazy.
Wait, if Zappos was 99, then I'm
Year
younger.
2000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one younger. That's crazy, man. So how did that begin? Was that your brainchild? Did you ever see it becoming what it was, or was it another entrepreneurial hack that ended up doing great? How did that begin?
It was just one of a few ideas. So I was after college, I went and worked for the San Diego Padres, and I got to the end of the season, and I was in like a group sales kind of role, and I looked around and I thought like, what's the opportunity here? The opportunity is like people are going to stay here a long time. Jobs aren't going to open up. I applied for a job in the PR department. I went in totally unprepared. Hadn't even read it. You know, they're like, all you got to do basically, you're from within, you're recommended. All you got to do is fill out this, write a press release, and basically the job's yours. Well, I, for some reason, had never thought about that or taken the time to read any of the press releases prior to the interview. So I didn't get the job. So I thought I could kind of see like I know what I'm going to be doing here. There's not going to be as much opportunity. I don't know what opportunity I want, but I know that there's not going to be enough for me here. So I should move back to the Bay Area. And I looked in the paper. I got a job at a company called AutoWeb, and AutoWeb was, you'd fill out a form saying, hey, I want to get a Toyota Tundra, and they would sell your information to 5 dealers. They'd all call you. And I went to the interview, um, and the founder was like either a year older or a year younger than me. There was like only 10 employees. Everyone seemed so excited. And I was like, wow. And I got the job, customer service. And then I eventually moved into like marketing. But this light bulb went off like, wait, like, you've seen this, you've been told there's this path and this progression, college, and then you work your way up. And these guys seem to be jumping the line, And I remember one of the first days, the sales guys were all fired up because, I mean, their job was basically give something away and get paid as a sale. But they talked about this company, Amazon. Amazon had just gone public. I was like, what's Amazon? And they're like, oh, it's crazy. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to go public too. And I was like, oh, man, this is like a little bit overwhelming. I try to figure out what's going on here. But so that opened my eyes. So I started looking around at like, what's possible. And I was looking for a pair of shoes one day, and they didn't have them. And I walked around a couple other stores in the mall, and I couldn't find them. And I was like, maybe I should make the auto web of shoes, right? Where someone will say, here's a shoe I want. And we'll say, okay, here's a shoe store that has them. That was a basic idea. Um, but I had a bunch of ideas. I was going to start a company called forstudents.com. So when I actually left, and that was going to be like Yahoo. Yahoo was the big thing at the time. And I'm like, I'll have this site with all these links, and you have to have a student email address and all the student deals and all this stuff. Um, which I think is the only weird thing about college is you're in a rush to get out, and as soon as you get out, you're in a rush to get back in. Like you're like, but so when I left Ottawa, I still remember Payam, the founder, was like pulled everyone together and goes, "Hey, Nick's gonna leave. He's got $1 million idea." And it wasn't shoes. Everyone thinks Zappos was called Shoes at the time. Everyone thinks it was that. It wasn't. It was for students. He's like, he's going to start this student portal. Um, so I actually put Buddy Ken, who we recently just started or a couple of years ago. We're two of the three co-founders of a company, Green Park Sports. I met him at AutoWeb, and so he helped me mock up this JPEG, basically, of like, this is what the homepage would look like. And I don't remember. I think I reached out to a company, Student Advantage in Boston, because they would like a student discount card, and I said, "Hey, I'm launching this thing." Long story short, they said, "Well, why don't you fly out to Boston?" And they basically said, "Hey, we'll hire you. We'll hire you to build out the student portal. We'll give you an office on the BU campus. You can hire 12 students or whatever it was." I took the job. I flew home, told my parents. They're like, "What? Like, well, hold on. Like, you quit AutoWeb, um, just short of vesting, mind you, and you did that because you had to start your own thing. The first person that you spoke to offered you probably, I mean, I was making like probably $15 an hour at AutoWeb, 30 grand a year salary, and these guys probably offered me like 32,000, and options maybe one day. And it was like, they're like, so you're going to move to Boston now and build this thing that you had to build for yourself for someone else for the same pay you were getting at the company you just left. And I was like, well, now you say it that way, it doesn't sound as appealing. So I told him, hey, I'm not going to take the job there. And And my dad was like, I thought that shoe idea was pretty good. I was like, nah, you're right. So the next day I just went down to a shoe store, took a camera, I said, hey, can I take pictures of these shoes? And if someone, I'm going to put a website, if someone, orders it, I'll buy it from you. And he's like, I can't give you a discount. I'm like, I don't need a discount. I just need to know that, I have shoes to sell. So he humored me and said, okay, yeah, go ahead. So that kind of started that. I just started doing research. I went online. I found this shoe show. The WSA show was every February and August. Flew out to that and thought, wow, like at the time, I just thought I've worn Vans my whole life. Vans has, red, blue, white, and black shoes. And if I go back to the shoe store when this pair is worn out and the blue ones aren't there, I guess Vans doesn't make blue ones anymore. I just never thought about it. So I go to the show and I'm like, oh my God, all these shoes I ever wanted. So then I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. I got to put the world's largest shoe selection online. And then I, got online again, did more research, found I think it was called a Footwear Market Insights report. Bought it for like $100, and it basically said that 5% of shoes sold in 1998 had been sold through mail order catalogs, and it was a $40 billion industry. So that was $2 billion that was already being done. So I thought, shit, I've never bought shoes through a catalog, but those three things, which two of the three were a result of the internet, right? I mean, I never would have found that report, and I never would have found that trade show in Vegas. So from there, I just thought, okay. So I, went to Vegas again with a piece of paper that just said, to the next show, just said shoesite.com. It's a green photocopy, and just started walking around, and I couldn't get into the brand booths. But the feedback I got was, hey, maybe one day someone's going to do this. Like, keep trying, And so it was like, that was all I needed. That was enough of like an encouragement.
That is
And
good. Yeah.
it's those little things, it's like I couldn't get into the big booths, but I could walk the side hallways where the smaller brands were. And it's so funny how like, walking up and just like some, dopey looking young guy saying, hey, what about selling shoe site? And they say called Shoe Site, they could just be like, get out of here. Because at the time it wasn't, the most brands in the industry were just worried about cannibalizing the brick and mortar business. But it's like those few people that for whatever reason, probably maybe just complete boredom because they were in a slow area, were like, what do you got going on? And like, yeah, try it. Like, so it's those little interactions, where you just get that encouragement to take the next step that you don't even realize that person didn't realize they were doing it. They didn't give you any specific game plan. They just said, why not? So from there, I just kept going and realized, look, I need someone in the shoe industry. I need to raise some money. Raised 150,000 from friends and family, and like, actually not from family on that one, just from friends. And like I got a temp job at Silicon Graphics. A guy across the hallway invested and introduced me to a couple other people. We're talking like, the investments were anywhere from 2,500 to 10 grand. My chiropractor asked me what I was working on, put money in. It's like just friends from college, high school, put money in.
What did you value the company at that time?
$1 million post. And so the thought, like I was like, how do I figure out, how do I raise money? So I had my brother's father-in-law was a attorney, and I said, hey, how do I do this? And he was like, this is probably not the biggest idea, but this is worth it. So he was great. He helped me out with getting my documents all set up.
Probably.
And he said, how
not
much?
The biggest idea. Oh my God.
Like, how much do you want to raise? And I was like, I don't remember why I said 150,000. And then he said, I said, what do I give away for that? He goes, that's up to you. Like, this is all speculative. There's no data. Like, you just basically, it wasn't even like, there wasn't as much to compare it to. Nowadays you could say, oh, well, most people are, raising money at X or whatever. This was just, I don't fucking know, like just a million. A million sounds like when I left AutoWeb, Pime said I was going to start $1 million business. So I'm going to start $1 million business right now. So it's like, I didn't even know there was such a thing as pre and post, So the $1 million actually meant I was valuing it at 850,000, right? Because like, right. but it worked out great because it was like, it's good to see like friends from, once it worked out, people forget like the context was like the people giving me like 2,500, 5,000, that was a lot of money to them. In some cases, that was like all our money, right? Like I never had $10,000 in the bank. I mean, I don't think I had $10,000 in the bank until probably till I was like, shit, it might have been 30, like it was like,
Wow.
There was no, like, you're just getting your money and you get it, on a low salary and you're going out a few nights a week and you're just spending all your money and trying to get to the next payday, and that was what it was. So that was
Wow.
what I did. And then from there, got a little office, got some more shoe stores on board, put a little website up, and started reaching out to Art was the name. The lawyer kind of started introducing me, and then this guy Jared across the hallway at Silicon Graphics, where I have my temp job, they would introduce me to VCs, and I'd go out and I just started pitching everyone, and you had to overcome the. Do you have any business experience? Not really. Do you know anything about the shoe industry? Not really. Whatever the answer was to that, but I wasn't lying. I was just kind of embracing that when I could figure it out. But never actually got Sequoia, was a big venture capital firm. Actually was able to get all the way to the partner meeting, eventually there. But then they passed. And eventually later, a few years later, they would invest at a big amount. But yeah, it was just hired a couple people and just hired a couple people that I knew, and I said, hey, jack of all trades, roll, let's go, let's do this. You could tell how the likelihood of our success. One good indicator of that was I had two good friends, Billy and Cliff, and Billy was working. He would have been technically employee number 2 or 3, and Cliff's like, let's go drive around the country. And so Billy's like, hey, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to, I'm quitting. I'm going to go, we're going to drive in a van around the country. I was like, to do what? It's just have fun. So I was like, okay. And he's like, you know what? I'll take a Zappos magnet and I'll put it on the side of the van while I drive around. And like, if you want me to pass out some t-shirts, or, so they just back then it was bulky video cameras. Somewhere there's footage of them driving around with this van with a Zappos sticker on the side, Zappos magnet on the side. They'd go to drive-throughs and give the person who gave them their McDonald's order like a Zappos t-shirt. But then he never came back. So that was the very beginning.